All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to Pick the Brain. Today we got Reece Humphrey on, multiple time U.S. Open champ, world team member, multiple time All American at the Ohio State University, placed All American throughout his high school career, too. So he's definitely at the top 1%, or even I'd say like 0.5 or even lower percent of wrestling with his accolades. But something that I noticed, and that the reason that I wanted to have you on is be more of just like the person that I see who you are, and that whether that's on like social media or for
Yeah.
me it's on social media because I don't get to be around it a lot. But you bring a lot of energy and positivity, and that's something that like multiple times I put on my story, like, you're my favorite personality in wrestling. You're my favorite personality in wrestling. One, because you're funny. Just you
Yeah,
make funny
no
videos, you
doubt.
make funny content, and your
Yeah.
content's cool. But two, like, I can tell, like, you're super positive and you bring a lot of energy to the table. So just starting off, I want to talk about that. And when you started like recognizing that maybe that's who you are, just talk about those traits and how you feel like they've helped you throughout your life.
I don't know, man. Wrestling, it brings out who we are. And I think the best coaches are the most authentic. If
Mm-hmm.
you're a nerdy film guy, be that. Be it to the best you can. Like, don't, like Coach Ayers at Princeton, he's my best mentor right now. He's not going to be who I am,
Yeah.
and he's going to do what he does very, very well. And I'm going to pick up traits from him. But what I do very well is bring that energy to the room. And so that's the kind of value that I've always brought, even in school and every practice through high school and through college, and now as a coach. I feel like that's where some of my greatest traits are. So I tend to focus on those. And man, it just makes the room so much more fun. And when the kids, and my guys are adults, but when the people, the athletes in the room want to be there,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to get more out of it because it's one of my favorite parts of the day. I love being around my family, but I also love being around my wrestling family. I look forward to it. I blast the music in the car, getting ready to go. I get
Uh-huh.
jacked up, and then it's a party in there,
Yeah.
and that's the best kind of place to be. We're working very hard, but it's also a very fun environment, and some of the struggles that come with that are my athletes think that we're buddies, and so we get very close, which can be very, very good. But sometimes we get into this where it's harder for them to listen to me. One, I'm still wrestling, so that creates a little bit of a struggle. And two, because we are best friends, so they think they can talk back to me. And so every once in a while, I would say like once a year, I got to put my foot down and be coach.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, we're buddies, and it's very smooth sailing. But yeah, man, it's the way to do it. I think.
Uh-huh. And so, if I'm not wrong, you're the head coach of you're the head coach over at Princeton's RTC.
Yep, the New Jersey Regional Training Center.
Yep.
Yep.
So when you say like it's a party, and like to me, when I think of my wrestling career, most coaches that I have, like, they don't think that way, or they think like we need to take this super serious, and like there's no messing around, there's no laughing. And I think like early on, like, it's evolving as we go, but like at least like back before I even started, like it was, Dan Gable era, like beat your head into the wall, beat your head in the wall, beat your head in the wall, and that's gonna get you the best results. So when you say like it's a party, like what are you talking about, and then what benefits come from that, and
Yeah.
how it just
Well,
like improves your team as a whole.
yeah, and Princeton does it as well as anybody. The college season is the longest season in sports,
Yeah.
and so if you're not laughing and joking, like when those coaches and myself are teaching technique, I'm throwing jokes out there. I'm making fun of somebody, and they reciprocate. They get to make fun of me, and then we get to laugh and joke while the guys are wrestling really hard. And while they're drilling, the warm up is especially fun and
Hmm.
almost like jovial. It's like kid like. We're dancing around, we're doing cartwheels,
Yeah.
and we're dapping each other up and telling stories from what happened that day. And I mean, that's just, we're boys in there. We
Uh-huh.
just get to be boys, and we get to wrestle around, and we get to do this for a living. And nothing's more fun than that.
Yeah.
It is wrestling. There's a stigma behind wrestling because it's very physical and aggressive,
Hmm.
but it is the most fun thing on the planet. And
Yeah.
the older I get, the farther away I get from competing. It's like that's all I want is to be able to go in there and fist fight somebody with rules.
Yeah.
And so I'm just feel so grateful all the time to be able to be in the room, and so are the guys, man. And that's what we get the most out of it because we want to be in there. It's a fun place. It's an open environment. They're not afraid to ask me questions. I'm not afraid to learn from my guys. Like Nate Jackson is becoming way better than I'll ever be,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he's going to make the team and win the worlds. And
Yeah.
so I teach a lot of wrestling philosophy. You know, I want to be in this position because it makes me faster. I want to be over here because it makes me stronger. I don't want to be here because I'm weaker and slower. And he's teaching me how he does it with his body type. He's
Yeah.
6'3" or something. You know, I'm 5'7". I got really short guys on my team. You know, everybody's different. Everybody has different strengths. When I teach that philosophy, we can have the back and forth of, well, this doesn't work for me, and
Mm-hmm.
this does work, and maybe you should try this, and this is why I do this, and then we get back and forth, and we're creating new moves and new techniques and philosophies, and man, it's working really well for our guys.
Yeah, and I like even to me that kind of looks like what you guys got going on there kind of looks more of like an MMA team because like to me like an MMA team or when I see like teams like rolling up, I mean I'm not there but like just on social media like
Mm-hmm.
these coaches and these athletes are actually really close and sometimes you'll see training partners coach each other and so yeah like I look at like your guys' RTC and I see like it's a bunch of young guys, right? You might be a little bit older, but everyone there's pretty much pretty
Yeah.
younger.
Uh-huh.
And so like it just reminds me of that like MMA vibe of just like you guys roll up to events. I wish I could just see you guys at weigh-ins or you guys just rolling up to events, dapping each other up, like being
and,
best
every, and
friends, you
everybody
know?
in the weight too. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna dap it up, and then we're gonna respect each other enough to punch each other in the mouth as soon as the whistle blows, and then we'll be boys after.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like that in the room every day. It's like that with
Mhm.
my competitors. Even to this day, I went to the Worlds. I was hanging out with Coleman Scott. We're best friends. You
Uh-huh.
know, we probably fought each other 10 times, and the most physical, the dirtiest stuff, and we loved it. You
Yeah.
know, and I
Yeah.
respect him for that. And then we were boys right afterwards. And the guys who can turn it on and turn it off like that are my favorite people.
Uh-huh.
You know, my training partners were Sean Bunch and Logan Stieber, and we were 1, 2, 4 on the Olympic ladder the Olympic year.
Mhm.
So like the highest level of competition, the most pressure, but we knew if we could work together, we would get better and elevate ourselves past the rest of the competition, and then whoever came out on top was that guy. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's all about respect. But yeah, these are my brothers.
Okay. And kind of rewinding all the way back, I want you to talk about like your start into wrestling, maybe how you got started, if your parents did it or if they don't, but your start into wrestling, um, yeah, and then just all the way up into high school, and then we'll go into college from there. But just your start.
Yeah, so my dad coached the Olympic team twice.
Oh, okay.
Once for USA, he was the head coach, and once for Canada, as the head coach
Oh, that's
in
cool.
'84 and '88. So, but when I was growing up, he was in sales. Like all his friends were wrestlers, but I didn't really comprehend that he was who he was. He was a world silver medalist, Olympic head coach, and uh, and so I didn't even start. I started in sixth grade. My brother started in sixth, quit in seventh. My dad didn't put it on us at all, and it's the greatest gift he ever gave to us. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm trying to give that to my son, but I'm still on the mat twice a day, every day. So there's no hiding who
Yeah.
I am, you know. So he knows and he looks up to that, and we get to use it in a different way. But yeah, my dad never pushed us. He loved it more than anything, so I'm sure it was very hard for him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was the best gift because wrestling's so hard. You got to do it for yourself. As soon as you're
Yeah.
doing it for somebody else, there'll be a breaking point. I see it with all these Tulsa champs. They put so much into their kids, and they push them, and sometimes a little bit too much, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in not that healthy of ways. And so I'll fast forward and I'll come back. But we're starting these adult wrestling classes. We've been doing them for, I don't know, 6 months now,
Yeah.
all through Jersey, and it's amazing. And the best thing about it is the dads that come in there or the moms that come in there, they gain some perspective because
Mm-hmm.
the phrase that we always use is the dads at the youth tournaments that yell, just get up. Like that, you get up. It's not as easy as you think it is. And so they run them, and then they put the trash bags on them, and they get so far away from what the real goal is, which is becoming a better wrestler. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you take our class, you can learn the basics while having fun, and talk about a practice party. That's where we really
Mm-hmm.
no pressure. The adult wrestling classes are the most fun. They trump everything on the fun list for me.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then we'll get back to that, but we'll rewind to I started in sixth grade. I was very good at it right away. I had an older brother, and I'm sure we were wrestling at a very high level in our living room, you know, before we ever stepped on a mat. So I did very well in middle school. Only lost a couple times. Went to high school, and no recruits. We built a team right around my weight. Was just we had 7 guys ranked number one. 6 of them were 3 below me, 3 above me. And so I had the best partners in Indiana. We won a state tournament 2 times. It was amazing. I won Fargo and Greco, not in freestyle. So I had good credentials and went to Ohio State. It was amazing. When I signed to Ohio State, they were 11th in the Big Ten out of 11.
Oh, dang. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So my dad was going to coach there. And so this is Russ Hellickson, not Tom Ryan. So I had Russ Hellickson for a year. So, but I signed, and I didn't follow wrestling like I do now, obviously. But we went to the Big Tens, and they were 11th. I was like, uh-oh, what did I get myself into? But I went there because I had really good partners, Jay Jaggers, TJ Enright, and then Lance Palmer came the following year. So we were phenomenal, like right away.
Yeah.
So Russ and everybody left, and Tom Ryan, Lou Roselli, Joe Heskett, Tommy Rollins came in for Ohio State. And we went from 50th at the NCAAs to second. We were second twice, and then they won a couple years later. They won the national title in 2015. Right after I left, I was still training there. So, that program turned around like right at the time I got there. Not saying it was me by any means, but
you were definitely the driving factors.
It was a big part of it. It was like it all happened right at once. Jay Jaggers was the year before me. He was national champ a couple times. I was second and third, and then Palmer was second and third and 4-time All-American, and he was right above us. We were 33, 41, 49, so that was awesome. We also had Mike Basillo at 184, and J.D. Bergman was in there, so it was like a lot of really good individuals. Now they're solid up and down the lineup. Tom Ryan was a phenomenal job of being the CEO, the fundraiser, the boss, and Roselli was such a great technical coach for me. And Jay Jaggers now is in that role as the head assistant. So, and then from there, coached in Cali for a little bit. I didn't want to be college coach guy. Too much paperwork, not enough wrestling. I wanted to do, if it was like focus on wrestling, I'm all in. So I wanted to do a club. Coached for Titan Mercury out in California. And then Joe Dubuque here at Princeton gave me a call one day and offered me the RTC position. I was like, no, I got those calls a lot. I kind of like doing the club thing. And I came out and visit, and done deal. I love it. Done deal.
What did you love most about it?
Man, the Princeton's beautiful in general, but the guys are what I like to run a practice like. They're very fun. They're loose. They're fine to go have a beer. It's not, lift weights and eat rocks all day. So they're normal people at a very high level of wrestling. So that's what Princeton brings to the table, even though it's a very hard school on the educational side. They scrap and they still have fun, which is all the things I take very seriously. So it was the place for me. It was an immediate decision. Came out to Jersey, love it ever since. It's the best place I've ever been.
And so we'll swing back, talking about just being a parent of an athlete, especially in wrestling, because it's so tough. Like I coach for Pearly Wrestling. I don't know if you know, like, familiar with that brand, but I coach there. And so a lot of times, like, I'm seeing just like bad relationships, and I don't even need context. I just need the conversation that I'm seeing, how the kid's reacting, and I can read it. And so like all the dads that are sitting in there, most of them, the relationship just isn't right, and I can like see that because I've been around the sport for so long. But I want you to, and another thing too that my mom does really well is, like, I call it like the hybriding parent technique. Like, it's like you are their friend. Like, you can be their friend, and you can like and bring yourself to that level and have that energy. But you can also when you need to crack the whip, you got to crack the whip. And for me, that worked really well. And I'm super close to my mom. I'm super close to my dad too. My dad's the same way. But like, my mom really kind of showed me the importance of, like, you got to be their friend too. And I think as a coach, like, you got to be the athlete's friend as well. And you have to crack the whip, and you got to crack the whip. So just looking at there, like, you're the first wrestling dad I've had on, and I want, like, I'm assuming your son's gonna wrestle and stuff like that. But so just talk about, like, more in depth, like that experience for you, and like things that you've learned with and things that you struggled throughout that process.
Yeah, so I have both ends of the spectrum here, because my dad was a wrestler, a very high level wrestler, and now I have my son. So I'm trying to play both ends. I'm trying to view myself from his perspective, because I went through it. And so he's young right now, so he listens to me very well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm waiting for the point where he gets good enough to where he's like, Dad, I got it. When he's not shit, you know.
Yeah,
So,
but like you're really, really like you're a top guy, you know. So it's
yeah.
like it'd be
So you
tough.
know, it's easy to listen now, but when he ever wins a state tournament or something like that, that's when I started to be like, Dad, I got it.
Yeah.
And so even when I was in college, I mean, I did it all the way up until I'm like 28. I'm fighting with my dad on technical things, you know. It's so stupid. Just because you can say no to dad,
Yeah.
but you can't say no to coach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so you shouldn't be able to say no to coach ever. You say yes, and then you get the best out of it you can. With your dad, it's such a different dynamic that it changes things, and so you're closer, but with that closeness becomes a little defensiveness too. So you got to play things a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad just always just took the punches.
Yeah.
He'd teach me something. I'd tell him, no, that doesn't work. You're short for your weight. I'm tall for my weight. Just finding excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd leave. I'd work on it for 6 weeks without him knowing. And then I'd call him 6 weeks later. I'm like, I told you it doesn't work. And he'd be like, what are you talking about? I don't remember showing you that.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's funny because you have those different dynamics. But so I'm trying I'm taking those punches from my son when he wants to fight back. And it's like, I think that's the best way to be a good dad and a good coach. You just kind of, you take the punches when they fight back, and then you just keep trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm so annoying with how much technique I bring with my guys.
Yeah.
I only have really 3 guys training there. I help a lot with the college guys too, but my 3 guys, if they're getting Nate's like starting to just, I can see him looking at the ground when I'm teaching technique, I'll bounce to another guy.
Yeah.
But when they're all annoyed with me, it's like, all right, it's time to wrestle live. But that's what the point that I always want to be annoying with too much technique all the time. Like, hey, coach, you're getting a little scatterbrained here. Like, all right, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm too much technique all the time, but coaching my son has been a very fun thing so far. I'm waiting for it to be a challenge, but I'm expecting it to be one too. But he's very talented. He listens very well. He works really hard. He's playing football right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for him to be a full-time wrestler, but he wants to play football. I'm like, play football.
Yeah.
Play football. You're 5 foot nothing. You're not going to be much taller. Play football while you can.
Yeah.
You know. And so it's been fun. We get to have other guys coach him with the football team, stuff I really know nothing about, so I can totally be hands off. I like that. He's seen a different perspective, and so sometimes the more he goes to football practice, the more he wants to wrestle. So I'll end up tricking him into doing what I want. But for now, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, before I move on, like, and like it does sound superficial coming because I don't know you in real life and I've only seen you over social media, but like I definitely have like a deep not like or just like a certain respect, like coming from someone who's 23. Like I don't have kids, and like I obviously want to be a good dad, and so like I look around at other people like and I formulate my own opinions based on like, and you're one of those guys. It's like, dang, like that relationship looks like fun and it looks like it very healthy, just from an outside perspective.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, and so what we post on social media, there's nothing fake about it.
Yeah.
There's another 100 clips that we didn't capture, you know? So so that's amazing that you say that, man. That's kind of the point that I like to post all that stuff. You know, it's like I could go towards an algorithm and try and grow the brand way better, but I just post my family and the stuff that happens every day.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that it comes off that way. It's awesome.
Yeah, and then mixed with your humor. That's why I say you're my favorite wrestling personality. Just so for the future when I post it again, because I know you'll make another funny one. I'll share it again and remind people.
Let's go.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But moving on from that, going to the college level. So you mentioned, and I'm bad with names. I don't. The old Ohio State coach's name again?
Russ Hellickson. Yeah.
Okay, so then when he came in, so you got a year with him, and then when Ryan came in, talk about the changes you saw just within the program individually, and then talk about what, like when it comes to NCAA wrestling, talk about what you think like makes the difference between a good, could be a good program from a great program, I guess.
So, man, so the little difference, so Russ was great. You know, we had a great staff there, and I think the difference was how hungry Tom was. You know, he was so hungry. He had some success down at Hofstra. He was coaching there. He's an Iowa wrestler, so he's expecting national titles from the beginning. And so he brought what's great about Iowa is the hand fight and the hard work. But Tom is such a special character too. You know, he's very
Hmm.
funny and open. So that was great. It was always a
Yeah.
good environment in there. And then you add Lou Roselli, he's the wrestling encyclopedia. You can ask him any question you want. He's got the perfect answer. You know,
Hmm.
that's how I always felt of him as my coach. And he was a great freestyle coach. And so we ended up having a great RTC there too. So we had 5 on the world team out of 7 weights
Mm.
in
Dang.
2013.
I think I
So
remember that actually. Yeah.
yeah. Don't think about it too much. We had 0 medals. So
Well,
we,
like talking to a guy like me, dude, I'm not. I can't even.
yeah,
Like I, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like.
I know, but yeah, it's like wrestling's so messed up. It's like it doesn't matter how well you do, you always could have done better.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
you look at the positives, right?
Uh-huh. Exactly.
And so I think that's really important. Um, I was just listening to Coach Ayers talk about his first 2 years here. They were 0-37 in dual meets. And he said he wouldn't talk about how much they lost. He would put up one little clip of, look, this guy did something really good here.
Hmm.
Show it to the team, hype it up, try and emulate this instead of yelling at them and making them do wind sprints. You know,
Yeah.
like that's just not it for me.
Yeah.
So being hungry, being passionate is really important
Hmm.
as a coach. We've had a lot of meetings this week, and we talk about how often do you think about the program? And it's on my mind all day. It's on their mind all day. It's on the athlete's mind all day. And we're all trying to get better. And, you know, we all want it in different ways. So we're trying to find the middle ground. But yeah, hungry, passion, hard work. And then the number one thing, technique.
Hmm.
I'm around freestyle wrestling. I'm around the highest level. Right now, USA Wrestling is growing as fast as it can be because we don't just have Jordan Burroughs to look to. We got Burroughs and Dake and
Yeah.
DT and Nate Jackson and Jaden Cox and
Yeah.
Kyle Snyder. We got so many different guys with different skills and Thomas Gilman and, you know, all these different guys that are amazing. And we can just try and emulate our styles in our own way, looking at a bunch of phenomenal examples.
Yeah.
And guys will stick around in the sport. And man, it's awesome.
Hmm. And then like when you bring up technique, like when I think of like how the sports evolved, and I think of like good college technique, like I think a lot of guys last year were like hitting reshots, and that
Yeah.
was like a big emphasis. And like I think a lot of people are starting to learn like, boom, guys shoots, you have to chase hamstring or you have to
Yeah.
chase an angle, and I
Mm-hmm.
think people are starting to do that really well. So just on my feet, like when I notice, and then obviously like there's a lot of different things, but like looking over all those things, like talk about just the technique in college and like things that you've noticed that have picked up. Like I'm saying, like reshots. Like what would you say? Like you notice just like from last year, even of important things that you should be focusing on if you're a college wrestler.
All right, I'm gonna give you the secret. Okay?
Please do.
Don't tell anybody. So what we do, we call it getting wavy.
Uh huh.
Getting wavy. So you think about a wave crashing on a beach. It comes in and it crashes, and then it goes back, and then it comes in and comes back. So when I'm hand fighting, I always have my head in the way,
Mm-hmm.
and that way I can move forward freely. I'm moving until they want to push back into me, then I'm going to sag. And then
Mm-hmm.
when he wants to pull back, I'm going to start to open things up. If he defends this, I'm going to close this and change angle, push into him. When he pushes back, it's like I'm always moving forward, backward. Whenever
Uh-huh.
I get somebody to, I call it a kink in the armor,
Yeah.
and they start in that perfect stance. Anytime I can get him to lean forward, expose it. When he
Yeah.
pulls back, expose that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like constantly trying to move them.
Uh-huh.
And in the very beginning of the match, when they're not tired and they're holding perfect position, maybe the wave is an inch.
Yeah.
And then when he gets tired, it's exponentially going to get worse for him. Push him, sag him, open a high crotch up, close it, swing, fall it out, boom.
Mhm.
So I'm just like, it's like a constant wave of pressure. They shoot on me. As soon as they stop shooting, they're going to want to defend back. I'm looking to reattack.
Yeah.
If they defend that, I'm back to front headlock.
Uh-huh.
And so it never ends, too. I use the example of escalator, not elevator. The escalator never stops going.
Yeah.
It's constant. Instead of the snap, reset, that would be like an elevator. You're dropping levels, both guys reset.
Yeah.
Hit them really hard, both guys reset. Be something constant that's constantly flowing backwards and into them so it never ends.
Mm-hmm.
So they either completely break away from you or you finish the takedown.
Yeah, and so when you guys are in there, like, and drilling is, like, like, when I think of, like, average drilling, like, I think of, like, guys are like, okay, my next one's going to be a high C when I get up. And they might hit a different setup, and they might not even touch a tie. Or, like, and my next one's going to be a single leg. So, like, when you are drilling, like, and you're going doing that, like, because I understand what you're saying. I've actually seen it a lot, but I just couldn't put it, like, it's hard for me, like, just I haven't like heard a lot of this stuff, but like it's hard for me to like break that down and to. But I understand what you're saying. Just continually like they put like. Yeah, like I don't even know how I'm trying to see. I can't even speak about it right now, but I know what you're saying. But when you're
The
drilling, are
waves,
you
my
looking for
guy.
specific attacks? Or are you kind of flowing and then you see one and you hit it?
Yep. So yeah. So every time the senior guys drill, I'm not saying I'll hit two high crotches and two single legs. I'm just hand fighting. They're giving me a look.
Mm-hmm.
The resistance is not there, but I'm not scarecrow guy.
Yeah.
That's middle school.
Yes.
I'm wrestling him back. I'm putting weight where it's supposed to be so this
Mm-hmm.
guy can get the feel. But I'm looking at the openings. I'm trying to keep my head in the way at all times so I can defend and move forward. And whatever opens up is what I'll take. And then, as you get better, you'll find your sets and your series of while you're creating those
Yeah.
waves, like what things commonly open up against this
Mm-hmm.
type of opponent. And then you can expose those things until they stop them, and then there'll be something else exposed because they have to defend this side.
So do you work a lot with like with your athletes? Like some guys are gonna come in and they're gonna be stiff drillers, just because
Yep.
like that's just how they were in high school. Like how would you fix a stiff driller?
Teach them the waves. You got
Yeah.
to show them, like the guys who are squeezing. So most of the time in really high level wrestling, if you're ever squeezing to hold something, you're going to be behind.
Yeah.
If you're ever trying to squeeze a position, the other guy's going to move next with a
Uh-huh.
leg drive or with a sag or with some type of big setup. And so anytime you're squeezing, if you're holding in the front headlock trying to get a stalemate, he's going to make the next action and then you're half a step behind.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are, as soon as you stop, if you shoot a high crotch and you squeeze, he's going to start to defend, get your head down. You're at a disadvantage. So the more we can continue the action up and across or down and away, like if you shoot or you front headlock, they need to be continuous motion until the guy breaks away from you or you finish the takedown.
Okay. And then last thing on the technique, like when you go top bottom, in my opinion, I think that like as America, we like in folk style, like we're drilling top wrong because like a lot of the moves that we learn is like like we don't put importance on like you got to break the guy down flat, and then you kind of use like when I think of like breakdowns, like I might go tight waist chop, and that's like my setup. And if I want to throw my right leg in when he comes up to his knees, like I'm throwing my right leg in. I think people think of it as like, I just need to get to a turn. So talk about like
Mm-hmm.
drilling on top and kind of like that, like it, you just can't go from like I cover him and then I get a tilt. It's like you have to do these steps before you can
Mm-hmm.
even like set yourself up to get something that good.
Yeah.
So
We're
talk
getting
about
into
just
some high level
drilling.
stuff, man. This is good.
Oh yeah, I try my best. Like, and that's the thing is like I'm talking to these high level
Uh-huh.
guys, and I know that like so I just
Yeah.
like and I'm just genuinely curious because I love like wrestling and the technique
Yeah,
side.
right. So
Yeah.
for me, yeah, so like it's like scarecrow drill in middle school, like breakdown turn. It doesn't work like that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the guy's always going to have some cool stuff to do on the bottom. My objective in wrestling in general, neutral, top, bottom, is be able to be athletic. So if I'm getting extended, I'm losing my athleticism. If my
Mm-hmm.
head's down, I can't do that much. If my legs are back, I can't really do that much. So I want to be able to do cool shit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm flattened out, I can't do anything cool. And you have to use a lot of effort to get back in there. So
Mm-hmm.
bottom, be athletic, don't screw it up. If I think we use the term micro movements, it's kind
Yeah.
of like freestyle. Someone tight wastes me, I wait it. Someone goes for my wrist, I defend it, and then I keep building my base taller and taller. And just like in the hand fight, I want to find my opponent. If
Mm-hmm.
he's directly behind me, I'm pushing backwards. If he's
Yeah.
over to my side, I'm leaning sideways as I'm starting to get taller and taller until I can start fighting hands and starting to cut inside. And on top, I'm trying to face the direction where I want to chop. So in high school, I see a lot of guys on the side trying to pull them down with their back arm. When in college, I want to be driving over the post. So if it doesn't work, I can change directions and drive back. And so just constantly being on top of my opponent
Mm-hmm.
and staying athletic, riding them kind of like a bull with my knees pinching. But yeah, just constantly trying to flow, use my legs and my hips way more than my arms. And good things happen. It's such a disadvantage to be on the bottom. You're carrying my weight.
Yeah.
But if I'm off to the side trying to hold your weight with my arm, I'm at the disadvantage.
Yeah, and so would you say like you can compare it to like the wavy like the wave of like you're trying to break him down, chop him, put him weight, and then you see a turn open up, boom, I hit the turn,
Yeah,
and then
because I'm
back
in
back to
position
it.
to
Yeah.
do something cool, right? If I do the chop and I fall to my hip and the guy doesn't fall with me, now what? What's next? You don't
Okay.
have anything next because
Yeah.
you're on your hip and you have to get up before you can do something. So
Yeah.
the more I can stay on top and have a next action,
Mhm.
what's next? What am I going to do next if he kills my initial plan?
Yeah.
You have to have that second, third, fourth, infinity series of I can keep doing cool stuff because I'm in position to keep them underneath me.
Yeah.
And
Those
when they do
might.
something cool, I'm in a position to pick them up or do something else athletic.
Uh-huh. Yeah, those
Mm-hmm.
micro movements and just like you explaining that. Wow, like this is like one of the best technique like conversations I've ever had in my life.
I'm the
But
best.
yeah, I appreciate for passing that down. That's good stuff.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, moving off of that, like, and I think about you like as an athlete, you had a great career and like definitely like you were definitely top guy in the world. You made the world team. So regardless
Yep.
of like how you feel about how you did there, like you made the hardest wrestling tournament
Hey,
in the
I got
world.
it
So
done, man. I'm veteran world champ.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like any given day, basically anybody in that there. Now you get a couple like you get a
Uh,
couple like junkers there. Like I know a guy who
yeah,
wrestled
I was one of
NAI.
them.
Yeah.
So if once you get real with yourself, there's so many levels to the game.
Uh
There's
huh.
guys that make the world team. There's guys that could potentially be fifth. There's guys that are going to medal every single time,
Yeah.
and there's guys that are going to make the finals, potentially win, and then there's the guys that are just going to win every time. And those levels are not that close together. Like from me being on the world team, my first world team was Burrow's first world team.
Mm-hmm.
The difference of how much better he was than me, it's so off the charts. And I think I learned a lot watching him and being around really great guys and being a student of the sport for the last 20 years, being at a
Mm-hmm.
really high level. I think that I can coach at that level, but it can always be better, right? I'm really happy with how I did, but I always every coach will say this. I wish I knew what I know now,
Yeah.
but I can't go back and teach myself. I had
Mm-hmm.
really great coaches, but I wish I would have focused on the things that were really important, which is
Yeah.
the hand fighting position and all these things that we're going over now.
Mm-hmm.
And even better, my guys are going to win.
Yeah.
Nate's going to win the Worlds.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Nate's
you,
freaking yeah. Nate's
he's going
really
to win the
turned it
World.
up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see him in JC because JC's like I know JC personally. He's from Missouri, and so I just like I wrestle at the same club as him. And
Yeah.
so JC's like I'm super excited to see like JC kind of like turning it back around for himself
Yeah.
and
So
stuff like.
he's going 97 though.
He's going up.
He's going up.
Oh yeah. I did know that.
Going up. He just got
Okay.
engaged and he's going up to so get ready for the Olympics. So
Yeah.
it's weird moving up. It takes a little bit of time.
Uh
Like
huh.
Dake did it. They went 0 Dake and DT both went 0-1 the first time they went up.
Yeah.
And so it's just it takes a little bit longer than just being that heavy.
Yeah.
You
And
can
so
be that heavy and then it like becomes your weight all of a sudden.
So I was like thinking. I think it was like last week. I was thinking about this, but I was thinking about like I was talking to my buddy about DT going up when he did, and he kind of did it like in silence. Really, to me, he kind of did it in silence. Like one day, he's like, you know, little like that boy DT he was like, you know,
I
and then
know.
next thing I know, he's just like man. And so, does USA Wrestling have like a say and like do they like recommend like hey we want you to go here because then we could like look at our team and like it
No.
could be they don't have any say, it's all athletes.
It's all the athletes. Yeah, you go where you think you can win. Yeah,
Okay.
they don't. You can't tell somebody what to do.
Yeah, and I didn't know if it was
They're just
like
there to help, really.
if they were in all in like strategically, but I get like at the end of the day, it's like I'm going that way and I think I can beat that guy. I
You
don't
go,
care what you
especially
tell me.
those guys. You go where you think you can win.
Yeah,
And they all figured it out. It kind of worked out so perfect. We got like 5 champs back to back to back.
yeah, and that's why I was wondering if it was like organized like that because it did work out
I
like.
think everybody just kind of knows that they both want to win.
Uh huh.
They don't want a Burroughs Dake sitting on the sidelines and then somebody. I mean, I'm really excited about Chance Marsteller works with us. I think
Yeah,
he's
that's
stepping
awesome.
in there too.
Uh huh.
But like our two, like Valencia, phenomenal too.
Mhm.
Like who knows what those guys would do if they were
Yeah.
on the team. So yeah, right now those guys are the guys and they separate themselves. But yeah, I think they all want to be on the team together
Uh
too.
huh.
It's a big part of why they're so great.
Yeah, and then like talking about the world championship experience, like you got a different perspective, like a new experience this year, and I think that was really cool. And
Mm-hmm.
like even though like I don't know, like you're a competitor and like obviously like you want to be right down there, but you were able to announce and be able to sit like up in the booth and just like
Crazy.
announce. So talk about that experience and like
I mean, I don't know if somebody dropped out or what, but someone just asked me. Olenowski, who's the
Uh-huh.
main media guy there,
Yeah.
he asked me if I want to do it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Free
Yeah.
trip to the worlds, I'm in.
Yeah.
And then I'm like getting closer to it. I'm like, oh God, I don't know how to do this at
Uh-huh.
all. I've never done it. I've one dual meet. Have I
Yeah.
ever done?
Uh-huh.
And so I'm up there, and I don't. Especially the foreigners, it's hard to read their names. So
Yeah.
focused on that. I'm trying to watch what this guy's right hand's doing, who's going to shoot. I'm trying to predict what's happening in the future. But
Yeah.
and I'm learning how to get my timing down. They want you to tell stories, but they want you to focus on if some action happens, you have to talk about it.
Yeah.
So there was a couple times the first day where I'd be telling a story and then like, oh, he's in on a double A.
Yeah.
Like, trying to get back to the story, and now he's on a shot. So
It was definitely genuine though, and that's what I liked about it. It was like,
yeah,
oh,
I'm
we
just
know this
trying
guy
to
definitely knows wrestling. It's Reece Humphrey. Everyone knows who he is, and it's like I kind of
yeah.
liked it, and I felt like you were a good fit for it. Obviously, it's like probably not something
Mhm.
that you want to do, but like for
Definitely,
a last minute
definitely.
hire, like you definitely did
We're out
well.
here, bro.
Yeah, you got a free trip out of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I know wrestling. I do know what's going on. Been
Yeah,
watching senior level for a long time. I think I coach at a very high level,
yeah.
and but yeah, it's different up there though. You're
Mhm.
up there for 4 hours. You're watching every single match. You normally go to a tournament, you watch your people, and then
Yeah,
you zone out for a little bit, or you go get a
yeah.
snack. You're in there
Uh
four
huh.
hours focused on every single action that's happening. It was like a little bit exhausting in a
Yeah.
completely different way, but great mental challenge. I loved being stressed out about it. I
Uh
love
huh.
everything about it. What I really want to do is the NCAA's,
Oh, that'd be cool.
ESPN, Daniel Cormier.
Oh, you
Let's
and
go.
DC would kill it
Yeah, so
for
I mean,
sure.
I don't know what I could share, but that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really hoping. Nothing set in stone by any means, but since I'm freestyle, I would always be available for that.
Mhm.
I talked to DC a little bit, and he said he would love to have new blood. He loves me. I've been boys with him for a while, so he's definitely putting a word in. I've talked to some ESPN guys, but that's just a really big hope because I only have one experience.
Yeah.
so,
Well, it was like
so
the.
it's hard for them to buy in on that, but
Uh
I
huh.
don't know, man. I've been very lucky with people taking shots on me in the past, so I'm hopeful.
Yeah. And then kind of like moving into the last part of the podcast, I just want to like a lot of wrestlers they'll become like very high successful wrestlers with good accolades and then like after their career's over, it's obviously like like being able to put that into something else like and like not even talking about family or anything but like just as like from a business sense talk about like things that like you have learned or like just not even learned but just talk about you as like a businessman after you got done competing and like how like if you've enjoyed that experience and like your plans for the future or just like you
Yeah.
got the adult wrestling thing too which is I think is really cool so talk about all
Yeah,
that.
so I wouldn't consider myself a businessman. I'm a wrestler that's done some business.
Yeah.
I'm
Uh-huh.
not. I could definitely always be more organized. I need help all the time, but
Yeah.
with things that I believe in, I'm learning to. Everybody's got great ideas. The guys
Mm-hmm.
that follow through are the guys that are successful.
Yeah.
And so if you want to be an entrepreneur, and so when I was wrestling, competing, I was one of the first guys to have be sponsored head to toe
Yeah.
because I needed it. I made 24,000 a year from the Ohio RTC. Three-time world team member. I was making 24K a year.
Yeah.
So,
We won't even talk
so
about that. Yeah.
but yeah, it's such a good thing. Wrestling's growing in the very right direction. I love that the
Yeah.
athletes are getting paid what they do now, and the coaches are getting paid more. But it was a struggle, and so I had to find sponsors, and I was
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to every single person. I got no's every single day because I had two kids, and I wanted to, provide for them the best way I could. I wanted
Yeah.
my wife to stay home to take care of them while they were little babies,
Mm-hmm.
which was awesome because then I was only going to two practices a day, so I was at home the whole time they were
Yeah.
growing up. It was
That's awesome.
amazing. And so I just kind of keep doing that with little things, and the ones that you see, there's another 20 or 30 that I've fizzled out because I can't follow through on.
Yeah.
But the adult wrestling, I really believe in. I got my boy CJ Brucky doing
Yeah.
it with me. He just brings the energy. It's amazing. He keeps me focused on it when I start to want to fall off.
Uh-huh.
And so it's just another reason to come to the practice party. We split the money, and who cares about the money because I'm just going there to grow the sport.
Yeah.
But man, I really think this could be a nationwide game-changing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Adult wrestling.
I do too.
I talked to, so many people have the interest, but it's not really legitimate quite yet. I
Yeah.
think we're starting to make it a legitimate thing in New Jersey. But we're bouncing around to so many gyms, it's not that consistent yet. So, but we're in there. These dudes, they haven't touched a mat for 15 years, and they throw the shoes on. They're right back in the glory days. We're playing like '90s rap. We're cussing in there. It's just
Yeah.
such a fun place to be.
Uh-huh.
And we just have to change the stigma of being too aggressive, because
Yeah.
otherwise we will get hurt.
Yeah.
So if we can do it like jujitsu does, where you just come in and you roll and you learn some technique and you can take it back to your club, you can take it back to your kid. We let younger kids come in if they drill with their parents.
Yeah.
Which is a hilarious thing that goes on too. We make everybody do dance moves in the warm up. Like these old dudes doing cartwheels is hilarious. And so that, I think, can really grow. So I talked to USA Wrestling and Rich Bender, and they said if we can make it work in Jersey, they'll help us make it work nationwide. And I got all my connections in the wrestling world that are ready to start a class tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so with the veteran wrestling, that's the main reason why I go do that, is to help grow this adult wrestling thing, because I believe in it, man. The world is soft. We need wrestling, and this is my gift back to the world. And man, I think it could be amazing.
Yeah, and congratulations on your place, second place right at Masters World Championship.
That,
I saw you
it
had a
was
tough finals match too.
miserable, bro.
And was
I
it?
was so sick.
Oh yeah, I
Up
remember
until
you
like
mentioning
2 days ago, it was like a month. I probably weighed. I normally weigh like 56. I probably weighed 148.
it. Uh-huh.
And the weight's 54.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was miserable, and so I wrestled the first two matches. I'm laying in the back in my singlet. I can't get up. I'm like cold. I'm sweating. I'm cold, and I have to change singlets. I get up to change my singlet, and I sit back down. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going out. And they call me out, and I kind of like stroll out there, and I'm in a scrap, and I'm like puking afterwards. But in the finals, and then of course in the finals, I have some guy who's world silver, like on the senior level. I needed to be my best, and I wasn't. He beat me.
And then last thing, just are you guys like thinking about like starting like nationwide tournaments too?
There's talk about it,
That'd
but
be so
my
cool.
focus is fitness. My focus is fitness and self-defense and dance and fun and getting the 90 minutes sweat in.
Yeah.
So there's going to be people in there. I think eventually there'll have to be two classes, one for fitness, and like my wife coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. It's a lot of middle-aged women and some guys that just want to get a workout in, because I know I don't want to go get on a treadmill for an hour and a half. Not possible. But I would love to come in and trick my mind into doing something fun, and you end up getting a whole workout in. And just from the short period of time, 6 months we've been doing this, the amount of people that say we changed their lives is insane.
And that's all that matters.
Back on the mat, they got a reason to eat right and go to bed on time because they want to come to practice. And we have a team. It's amazing.
That's
man.
so
It's
awesome.
it's such an amazing thing. So competing at the Veteran Worlds is not the goal for me. It's to get parents in there that have never wrestled, that want to help their kid, that want to just try wrestling because they like MMA and they want to learn more about the sport. There's so many wrestlers that do jiu-jitsu that just because there's no other avenue. And if we can make wrestling nationwide, bro, it's on.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'll just say this because like I've been thinking about this too, but like I really want and I think about my college career and especially wrestling Division II. Like I don't have like that great of like summer training opportunities just because like we don't have RTC, we don't have an RTC, or like we're behind on the curve of just like getting that I forgot what it's even called, but just like the funding thing for it. So we just started our RTC like last year, my college did, but I think like a summer like freestyle league for college guys, and it doesn't matter to the division, and then like I think that would be super helpful too, just like keeping guys like constantly competing and stuff.
I mean, jiu-jitsu crushes it.
Yeah, they do.
A ton of tournaments like that, white belt all the way up to whatever.
Yeah.
And wrestling can do the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you're all these people that I go do all these camps, and all these coaches think like, man, if I knew what I knew now, I'd have been on the world team. I'm like, no, you wouldn't.
No.
So, but if you want to toe the line, you still can. The Masters is 25 and up at Vegas, without having to enter the seniors. And like some people want to wrestle but don't want to wrestle Zane Rutherford.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I agree with you. But there is that. And so like from the year before I watched the Masters, I went to the Veteran Worlds. I got a good amount of publicity. The Masters this year was not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like Guido went 0-2.
Yeah.
Faber ended up getting second. They were in
Oh,
it, but
dang.
like, oh man, these dudes can scrap.
Yeah.
They know wrestling, you know. So it's like if it's fair, it's fun to watch. So
Uh-huh.
I think that those will keep growing. But yeah, a league would be fun to watch too.
Yeah. Were you guys all like hanging out, like all the Masters team? Like, were you hanging out with all those guys? You guys were all hanging out, like,
Guida's my boy for a long time,
yeah.
and Uriah Faber is Lance Palmer's boy. So
Uh-huh.
like, I'm kind of in that circle, but I just met him really for the first time there. But Guida's my guy.
Yeah, and then I guess this is my last question. I'm sorry, I keep like saying last thing, but last question. And like I don't mean to sound weird, but like when I'm on social media, like I pay attention. I don't just mindlessly scroll. Like I like to get in, like
Yeah.
like I like to like get into people's lives. Not even to sound like weird like that, but I think it's super interesting. Just like you can read somebody's life just by like seeing how they.
It's such a out of body experience, man.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
and I was just gonna ask like. I saw you posting like about your wife's like she gets all like like she's gotten good reviews at Orange Theory. Like who's the
Yeah.
better coach, you or your wife, would you say?
She's getting there.
She's getting there.
She ain't got me yet though. No, but so she's so amazing, you know. She public speaking is the greatest fear out of anybody, right? And so
Yeah.
when she first started doing it in California, she'd be like, "You got to break my leg. I don't want to go in and teach." She
Yeah.
was so scared to teach her one class a week
Uh-huh.
that and now she's owning the room. Everybody loves her. We walked around Princeton, 10 people came up to her. So I mean, she's
Yeah.
got a great personality. She's coach now. There's
Mm-hmm.
no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She's the coach, and we're both head coaches. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say I'm better than her. She's better than me, but she's doing her thing. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Do you guys ever have like your serious coaches talks where like you're at like talking to me? No, I didn't know if it was like that serious right
What's
now.
your strategy for today?
Yeah, like what are you gonna? Yeah.
Oh man, we're just we're having fun, man.
That's awesome. And hey, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it a lot. If you ever want to come on again, like I'll probably reach out to you more times than like I'll probably reach out to you a couple more times. But if you ever want to come on and talk, you can just reach out to me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I might want to pick your brain too, because we just got a bunch of podcast gear. So we have
Yeah.
formats, headphones, a mixing table. So we don't know what we're doing. Me and TJ are going to start a podcast. It's going to be called No Genre. We're going to talk about whatever the hell we want.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Is it gonna be free?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, let's go. Yeah. Yeah. My only issue is like I just have lack of funding right now because I'm trying to like, but like I am doing that stuff like trying to do that stuff over at Perler Wrestling for Nick, and so like been able to just learn about the importance of like just building your brand, building a community,
Yeah.
and just being real and just like educating people and influencing. So I think all this stuff's pretty cool.
That's it.
But yeah, appreciate you coming on, Reece.
Thanks,
Have a
bro.
good weekend, bro. I'll talk to you soon.